Alrighty, so we have Christian Aguilera versus Carlston Harris, first fighter from Guyana in the UFC. So yeah, he's interesting, you know, interesting addition. He's got a 3-inch height advantage over Christian Aguilera. I imagine he has a pretty decent reach advantage. He looks pretty long, like just eyeballing it. He looks like he's around 75 inches in reach, so at least that. So I think he will have the reach advantage here. In the stand up for these two, so for Christian Aguilera, he comes in with that boxing heavy style, utilizes a lot of feints. For Carlston Harris, he likes to fight quite long in comparison. He likes to flick out the jab to the head of the body, mostly singular strikes. He's got a nice teep to the body as well. When he does throw his right hand, he throws it with kind of this weird technique, in my opinion. He seems to kind of chuck his right hand at his opponent. It's not something you'd usually see with a straight right. Like, he doesn't snap it out, or even, I guess he kind of pushes it through, but it's more of a chuck, in my opinion, and it seems pretty effective, though. He did one punch a dude on the regional scene, but, it's quite weird technique. If he brought that to any of the, like, big coaches in, like, the UFC, like the Krauses, the Matt Humes, the Mike Browns, like, they would probably tell him to stop doing that. Like, it's just unusual technique. For Christian Aguilera, he, as I said before, boxing heavy style. I found him pretty easy to read on tape. When he cuts an angle to his left, he's looking for the jab or the left hook. He's looking to create an angle for the jab or the left hook. When he cuts an angle to the right, that's when he's looking to get a good angle on his straight right. Carlston Harris, though, his stand-up is a work in progress. He is very flat-footed, and he does overextend on his punches quite frequently. Like, he'll overextend on his right hand, he'll overextend on the jab to the body. He takes a second to retract his punches and then really shift his weight distribution back to his usual stance. So yeah, I do think he overextends quite frequently, and maybe Christian Aguilera could take advantage of that. Also, he has issues defending leg kicks. He's pretty heavy on the lead leg to pop out the jab. He likes to use his length, so he's pretty front heavy. But I think, yeah, Christian Aguilera could target that. He doesn't generally throw too many leg kicks. He was in the Sean Brady fight, so I'd like to see him go for leg kicks here if he damaged to a lead leg, which will make it harder for Carlston Harris to shoot on him, which I believe is where Carlston Harris wants to fight. He's very tenacious when he wants to get fights to the ground. He will duck under for a double leg. Most of his takedowns do come from the body lock, though. Once he gets the body lock, he'll go for an outside leg trip in the open. When he gets against the fence, he'll look for the inside leg trip, and he uses his wiry frame to really get the body lock, and he is quite hard to shake off once he does get the body lock. Christian Aguilera likes to mix in takedowns as well, not as often as Carlston Harris. He'll go for a reactive double if it's on the cards, like he's more of an opportunistic grappler. His takedowns are a tad sloppy, tries to muscle through his takedowns a lot of the time. Once he does get on top, Christian Aguilera will look for ground and pound while in guard, but yeah, he's more of a boxer, he's more of a stand-up fighter. Carlston Harris, on the other hand, he likes to get opponents on the mat. He likes to get them close to the fence. He likes to angle them in a parallel manner on the fence, so it's hard for them to get up, hard for them to wall walk. And we've seen Christian Aguilera get controlled pretty easily on the mat, by Sean Brady, who's quite an elite grappler, but, on the regional scene as well, he got taken down and controlled there. And he does seem to have, quite concerning balance, or poor balance, when he is defending takedowns in the open. So that worries me, because Carlston Harris, when he gets that body lock, he's quite long, so he can get his legs around your legs and then look for the trip takedowns. But also, he's so tenacious with it, he'll just keep, once he gets the body lock, he'll keep just trying to trip you and just throw your weight around the octagon. And if Christian Aguilera does go for a reactive double or a double leg, Carlston Harris, he does have a nice front head pinch, which he will turn into a DAS. He'll get the DAS grip on a turtled opponent once he stuffs the takedown. And you saw him, well, I've seen him get it in a few fights, but, the most glaring example would be in his most recent fight of the Russian guy, which I don't want to say his name at the moment, I can't remember it. It's quite long though. But it's his most recent fight, and he got the DAS. He's quite a legitimate prospect, and he DASed him in the second round. Alright, so how these guys win fights. So for Carlston Harris, he's quite good at sticking to opponents. You know, as I said before, once he gets the body lock on you, he's hard to shake off. Once he gets you in the clinch, he's very good at grabbing underhooks, keeping you engaged in that in the clinch exchanges. But also he has decent top control as well, and he has good cardio from what I've seen. For Christian Aguilera, he has moderate power in both hands. He can put you out. He's got a decent amount of pop. How these guys lose fights. So for Carlston Harris, it's the striking tendencies that we talked about before. Mostly about the leg kicks and also just the overextending and all that kind of stuff. For Christian Aguilera, it's the poor takedown defense, and his chin seems a little weak, in my opinion, just from what I've seen. I think he's been knocked out 4 or 5 times in his career. So yeah, it's not great, especially on the regional scene if you get knocked out like 3+ times. Alright, so for Carlston Harris, I think the path of least resistance, and definitely where you have the advantage, is in the clinch and on the ground. So look to clinch up quite often. Don't stay on the feet for very long. That's where he's most dangerous. Look for trips in the clinch once you do get him in the clinch. Move him around a little bit to test his balance. As I said before, get the body lock, move him around the octagon. Constantly look for trips. Look for reactive double as he advances forward, because as I said before, he's quite predictable with his angles and what punches he throws after he cuts those particular angles. So look for the reactive double on that. Also shoot over a leg kick if he starts targeting the legs. Past the victory for Christian Aguilera. Look for forward pressure, but don't get too over aggressive with it, because he will be looking to level change quite constantly. So yeah, just be calculated with it. Also leg kicks, as I said before. Left hook, as he saw on the jab, to the body, because yeah, he can overextend on that left hook, and he does leave himself vulnerable for punches like uppercuts, left hooks. He's quite vulnerable in that position. Also look to slip the jab when he throws the jab to the head, and then look for the 2. Like, he doesn't throw anything after the jab most of the time. He will go for a 1-2 very rarely, but most of the time he's just flicking out the jab. Alright, so how I see the fight playing out. Alright, so for Carlston Harris, he just beat a solid prospect in Isaac Gakmaev. Isaac Gakmaev. I believe I'm pronouncing that sort of correct. But yeah, he was a solid Russian prospect on Khabib's fight promotion, and yeah, dude's DASed him in the second round, and that was on Dana White's looking for a fight. So I'm guessing that's why he signed, because he probably isn't UFC level. I feel like the standards of recruiting UFC talent is significantly lowered in like that series, that looking for a fight series. He's got some decent scalps in his record. He's a Gakmaev, Wellington Turman, Michelle Pereira, but he seems alright, but he's probably not UFC level. I think the same could be said for Christian Aguilera though. I don't think anyone's too confident in calling this fight, and that's why, yeah, I think the current pick and odds are quite indicative of that. If the fight stays on the feet, I feel like Aguilera should win, but Harris is constantly looking for the clinch and the takedown, so he's definitely going to be coming in with the clinch and the takedown heavy game plan. Aguilera's balance doesn't look great when defending takedowns, and Harris will be testing that with a lot of his trip attempts from the body lock position. And if Harris does get a takedown, there's a good chance that he will control him just on the mat for the rest of the round, so it could be quite frustrating if you bet Aguilera. He seems to have decent top control, and Aguilera isn't great off his back. For that reason, I have to pick Harris, just because I believe he'll be able to get his hands on Aguilera and control him for long enough to find a submission, or just control him long enough to win a decision. For Christian Aguilera, 66% of his fights end in round 1, so if he was to win, I believe he would do it in round 1, probably with a knockout. So if you're looking to bet Aguilera, maybe that would be the play if you're not too confident in the money line. Alright, so I am picking Carlston Harris. I think he gets it done by decision with his wrestling heavy game plan. So I do think this fight's basically a pick'em though. I ever so slightly lean Carlston Harris. I thought the line was a pick'em when I did record, and now Carlston Harris is a slight favourite, so that was surprising. People being confident in one way or another in this fight. If I was to bet anything in this fight, it'd probably just be Aguilera in round 1. If I can get like plus 500 or $6 on that, then maybe I'd play that, but that's the only thing I'm looking to bet on this fight, just because, yeah, not confident. Both these guys, not very trustworthy, and just a bit untested as well.